thing that I've learned about entrepreneurship, it's one of the loneliest jobs in the world, right?
Behind every success story is the raw and unfiltered truth of entrepreneurship. Today I'm sitting down with Terohn Hyatt, someone I've admired and trusted for nearly a decade. As a peer and as a friend, his sincerity and reliability have been a game changer in my journey and many others. This conversation is filled with powerful insights and stories that every entrepreneur needs to hear. Let's get into it. All right, welcome everybody. Kicking off the day in the life and interview of entrepreneurs that I like and respect with no other better person than Terohn. I have known Terohn for, it's 2014, almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
He's helped me more than I can think. The evolution of a person from an idea, inception of an idea, to following through, to elevating, to pivoting in a strategic way is not seen enough. And to have all that done by somebody that's an actual good person. So as you guys have already probably seen, if you checked out the day in the life where we went around and we were able to see what it's like in the day in the life of a wholesaler, I'm proud to introduce for the interview, Terohn.
Thank you, man. That was a great introduction.
It's my first introduction. You know, I be hearing people saying that's a good introduction, like on interviews and stuff like that. So I had to do it justice, and it's good that I didn't have to exaggerate a thing. Because a lot of times people will have to exaggerate, embellish, stuff like that. No, when it comes to solid people, you don't find many solid people. Especially in business that are also good people and that are driven. So it was able to come out freely, you know?
Hey, man, I'm glad I'm able to be here. I'm glad that you're doing this interview with me. And much like, you know, we go way back. We was grinding overnight. Coffee all night, pulling them all-nighters. So I mean, you already know you're as well. You work just as much as I do, and you're good at pivoting as well. I've seen you go through multiple business phases. You know what I mean? It's all about the pivot.
Yeah,
so.
That's one of the main things it takes to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, sir.
So how about you introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and I guess your story. How'd you get here?
Man, I'm Terohn Hyatt. I live in Philly, of course, currently. Originally, I was doing clothing, then switched to school development, then went to internet marketing, then went to, and all while I was doing the clothing as well, I was actually running all these businesses simultaneously at the same time. Then COVID hit, and I was supposed to have a fashion show. I don't know if you remember that fashion show.
Yeah.
Ended up losing a lot of money because places was booked, tickets had to be refunded, and on top of that, clothes had to be refunded because it was like a boom, boom, boom. And then the pandemic just like made everything even worse because I'm not selling clothes like that. That's when I had to find out the internet marketing. That's when that whole thing started because customers had to be reached and I wasn't able to reach them. So during that, I made a lot of money doing internet marketing, Facebook marketing. But doing that, I realized, it's like once you realize when you're doing a company and you find success in it, you start realizing like, is this really what I need to be doing right now? Can I do this easier? You know what I mean? Can I make money easier?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was because I love designing clothing. I love designing in general, but the task of creating the website, creating the clothing, creating the marketing, creating all these different aspects of it. It's like, it sounds good when you're doing it. You know, you're starting out, it sounds good. Oh yeah, I'll do all of it. Don't worry about it. But then once reality sets and you actually start going through the business, you're making money, you're like, wait, I can make some money some easier ways. So I started diving into real estate and seeing that you could flip these houses without putting up any money. So when I got into wholesaling and got into my first deal, I made a company with the person who owns my current property because I saw he was a young, driven guy that owns property. And he taught me some gems about first-time home buyers, and I taught him some gems about learning wholesaling because he wanted to learn it as well. Had to fire him, but he ended up coming back later, and it was a great experience, and we made money together. That's a great relationship. And that goes to show, too, like, just because one situation may be, you know, not the best situation, don't crash out on your relationships.
Yeah. That seems to be one of the main themes of the day, has been the importance of relationships, not just in wholesaling, but also just in business and in general, you know.
Yep.
One of the main aspects that I like to, or I will be touching on not just in these interviews and these daily lives, is the effect entrepreneurship not only has on us, but the people around us. Yeah. Since I've known you for almost a decade, and you've known me for almost a decade, we've both seen friends come, friends go, and there is an effect, whether it's through the good times, the bad times, that our own entrepreneurship journey has on family members.
Yeah.
So you obviously, without naming any names, what has it been like to have the idea to do something as a team, and then some people not being a part of that, and having to, when it comes down to it, do certain things yourself? What effect has that had on your mentality and just you looking at business and partnerships in general?
Okay, so there's a few parts of that I'd like to answer on, but I would start with saying one thing that I've learned about entrepreneurship in general is it's one of the loneliest jobs in the world, right? Because nobody really understands what you're going through, except unless me and you're another entrepreneur, but majority of people aren't entrepreneurs, so they don't really understand that time risk that's being taken. I can't go out and do this. You may not see me for months. You may not see me for a year. I mean, there's different points. So, I mean, just understanding that is hard, with family, friends, and things like that, getting that off. But I would say how that's affected me you mean as far as like having my business, having a team, and then seeing how it played out. Well, I mean, ultimately, everybody has their own journey, and as long as you can understand nothing is there that you're not learning from.
Yeah.
Everything's a journey in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So I learned ultimately in that I may not like working with a team. I may not like managing a team because then I have to depend on people.
Yeah.
And that's what I've realized about myself is I don't like depending on people. Yeah. So I'm getting into fields where I have to depend on people to certain things, but like the stocks, for instance, I don't depend on anybody. The real estate, I depend on people, but that's a huge check that I can at least say, all right, at least I can, you know what I mean? I can write that off to like, okay, I can depend on that. You know what I mean? But that's what I would say changed mostly. I'm just trying to like kind of do those bigger plays that I was telling you about, like do a deal here, do a deal there, cash some stocks out, and keep it running. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that makes sense. Especially during the early parts of the pandemic into, I want to say even like 2022, parts of 2023. There were times where I wasn't seeing my friends or hanging out with my homies and stuff like that, and we would still be cool. Some of us might have grown apart and stuff like that. But the ones that stuck through had an understanding, okay, Kyle's doing his thing. Kyle's locked in. He's handling some business. And that takes me to a point that when it comes to entrepreneurship, just because we're going through something doesn't mean that we're going to push it on to others, right? There are people that are supposed to be in business, and there's people that are not supposed to be in business. And it's of my belief that each person, if they actually put in the work, they could be successful, even if it's not for them. In society, on social media, you hear a lot of people, and thankfully it's dying down a little bit, that say, start a business, quit your job. If you don't have a business, just click a button, get $100,000, and then you good. Like what? Yeah. Like, what do you say to people that are working a job that understand that they need more money, but entrepreneurship might not necessarily be for them? These people are having to pay expensive prices for everything. And if they were to say, hey, Terohn, do you think entrepreneurship is worth it? What would your advice to them be?
There's a cheat code for everything. So it may not be entrepreneurship. It may be stocks. Yeah. It may be you're a baker. You can bake cakes on weekend, sell the cakes. Honestly, it can be anything. So, I mean, like, anything can make money. You know what I mean? It's just about being creative to make the money. You can, I didn't even know this was a thing, but you can get paid to call people to remind them to do pills.
Really?
Yeah. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, today in 2024,
about to be 2025, man.
I feel as though there's so many things that you can do to make money. There's even a thing where now you go on YouTube and you can make the shorts, the AI shorts and stuff like that. People are getting paid. So, I mean, I feel like there's just, you got to open your mind. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier about sometimes you need to sit in a room, just quiet, and just think. Because you can really think about what is it that I need to do in order to generate more money, or either cut some, expenses.
Yeah. That's so true. And that's why we were having a conversation earlier where that came up. And especially this year, taking time to think has to be one of the most valuable things that people can do when there's so much going on, so much dopamine like stimuli on your phone, social media, that I have a theory that most people don't want what they want because they want it, but they want what they want, or they think they want what they want because the person that they like wants that, and sometimes that person doesn't even know that they want that or not.
Exactly.
By taking time to look within and not be so reactive, a person can, in chaos, take time to let everything just settle and just figure out what it is I want. Sometimes I remember some of the crazy adventures I've been on for business or even personal. When we were about to go cross country, there was last stop on the East Coast. No, we were in Maryland, and we were about to go into the country. Like, there was no more home is an hour away, worst case, or something like that. And I remember my partner told me, he's like, yo, you got way too much going on. You need to just calm down, get your favorite drink, which is coffee for me, get your favorite meal, and then just think and plan it out. There's a way out. There's plenty of ways out of this, but you're not going to find it if you are so chaotic and crazy and stuff like that. And relating that back to somebody that's working 9 to 5, I'm a big proponent of using your job instead of your job using you, because you need more money. As we were saying, I don't know the official number. I think it's between 42 and 52,000 is what the average American makes. The cost of everything, you need more than that, you know? So you have to have a second form of income. Legally, hopefully, you know, if you can, you know, legally, ideally. But it isn't always starting a whole business. Like you said, if you're good at baking, it might be within your circle, it might be at a location that you're at. You can bake an extra couple cakes on the weekend or something like that. You can get into stock trading. YouTube University is literally one of the biggest sources of just information that people can find almost anything on and how to do. And though you might not be certified in something, you can get a leg up on people that are doing nothing, right? Now, when it comes to Terohn as the person, emotionally, what have you gone through? What have been some of your highest highs and your lowest lows on this journey of entrepreneurship? Whether it was during the pivot or transition from something, whether it was having an expectation that something was going to come through, what is like one high and one real low that as an entrepreneurship, you can reflect like, I either needed that or I was able to learn from this situation?
I'd say my high is when I discovered real estate and I cashed that check that I was telling you about, and I realized, what have I been doing? That was a high for sure.
Yeah.
A low, I would say, was realizing with Wise Guy that I needed to depend on people.
Yeah.
That was a real low, because it took me a while to kind of get it out of my head that, you know, it was personal, because I had personal relationships with a lot of people that was around there. But that's why I hurt even more. But it was understanding that, you know, my dream isn't everybody else's dream. So, you know, even though I wanted them to fight hard for that dream or whatever, it doesn't necessarily always work out that way. And that, if it doesn't, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just wasn't meant to be that way. And you got to repivot, think about how you're going to come back into the game.
Yeah. That's one thing I've had the understanding of more now than ever, especially now if somebody comes to me for a consultation, or if it's just somebody I care about, a friend or family member that wants to get into business. You can't want something for somebody else more than they want it. If they're not going to say, this is the last straw, I'm going to do something, then it doesn't matter if we have all the emotion in the world. Like, you can literally do this. Like, how many people have you seen that are like, Terohn, I really need your help, and then you tell them what to do, and they don't do what you told them to do. Like, it's...
Bro, I can't even count.
You can't even count, man. Like,
I can't even count.
And the concern is genuine when they say, I need help. But what's not genuine is the fact that they allow, and granted, life happens, but if you really need something, you're going to do something, you know?
Yep.
If the house is on fire, you're going to get out. A less extreme version, if your car is blocked, you have to get out of your car. If there's something in your way, you have to move the obstacle.
Facts.
However, when it comes to, and I'm just using business as an example, but it doesn't necessarily only have to be business. It's like, because we do this too. It's like, okay, I know I should be doing this, but I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the simplest way is to follow the directions of what's worked. You know, by doing that, you can come up with that creative twist and spin you can put on it. But sometimes people psych themselves out, have analysis paralysis, so much information, they're overwhelmed, and they have real life stuff that it's like, And what I find too, I'll give somebody the exact steps they need to do, and I only know this as the exact steps they need to do because when they eventually do it, it works, and they're like, what happened? I'm like, I told you this years ago. It's not a priority. So It's like somebody says, I need help, you tell them, and then it's like, okay, I'll get to it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm not saying they have to dedicate their life, okay, I'm stopping my life, I'm only doing this right now, nothing else, but it's like, I know instantly if that advice or that help is going to work, where you put it on your priority list, you know?
Yeah. It's like you're not hungry enough.
You're not hungry enough, man.
And that's what you gotta tell people sometimes.
And it's so sad that some people need the loss of something or loss of someone as the motivation to act. And I don't want anybody to have to feel that or go through that. And for those that are hopefully watching this, have some aspiration for entrepreneurship or just need an extra form of income, don't wait until your back's against the wall, because I don't know exactly how bad the country is going to be, but I know that prices are not going down right now. I know that for the next 12 months, it helped anybody to have more money, you know, so there are a couple of different ways that people can approach entrepreneurship or a second form of income, right? When it comes to wholesaling, what are your thoughts on the wholesale industry as a whole, and what would you change if you could just magically wave a wand?
The industry in whole, I would say you got a lot of 15-year-old kids going out here going crazy, doing some crazy deals. But with that comes a sense of us needing a standard.
Yeah.
So I say that like a lot of wholesalers are reckless, man. They'll get a contract with somebody and then ghost them. And the person will think that they're selling the house, or they'll tie up the house with an agent, and then they'll ghost the agent. So those things, of course, I don't agree with. That's what I would change if I could. And like I said, mentor the relationship between realtor and wholesaler. That'd be the only thing I'll change, bro.
You were saying that before, especially just the view that some realtors have on wholesaling and wholesalers, but it doesn't help if there are a whole bunch of wholesalers out there making it worse, you know?
Yeah.
Not only Wise Guy as a franchise, like entity and brand, Wise Academy. I want you to speak to that because, again, this is the guy right here. Like, this is the guy, not only helping himself, but helping the community and helping kids as well. What is Wise Academy, and what made you first start it, and what impact has it had on you since you did it?
So with Wise Academy, the way it actually started, everything that I do in entrepreneurship, it all linked to another thing. You already know how it goes. Mm-hmm. So like what you said about that opportunity of your job, I always say current step equals next step. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So always making it equal to the next thing. So I was doing clothing, and one of my people on my team said one of his old principals had reached out to him for an arts program. Now, I never taught an arts program. Yeah. But I'm like, all right, I'll come in and talk and see what happens. Tell them I'll do like one day. Mm-hmm. Went in for one day. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I saw how the kids reacted, you know, and a city like Philly, they need to see something other than just drug dealers or rappers or something like that. They, you know, they don't really see that. So it was kind of cool seeing their reaction from what I do. So from that, the principal was sitting on there. He said he liked what I did. He asked if I could possibly come up with a curriculum. Didn't know anything about it, but I did by the time 12 a.m. hit that night. I definitely knew everything about a curriculum.
There you go. Yeah.
Went home, I studied everything. Me and Daryl D. Pratt, you know him, came up with Wise Academy. Had the LLC written out, mission written out. By the next time that we saw him, I think it literally took us maybe like a week. We had a contract with a few schools at this point. So and then once we got one, we got another, then we got another. Then that's when we realized we're back to square one.
Yeah.
I got to depend on people.
Yep. It's teachers coming in, like doing the same care and, oh man.
Yeah, because the problem with it was I did have 2 teachers that were, one was like really, really part-time, but then the other one was like pretty on it. But then he wanted to do his own thing. He didn't really say it, but they do this new thing, silent quitting or something.
Oh yeah,
the new age. But that's okay. I see what he's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. You know what I mean? I understand what it is. But that goes to another point of when I didn't have that, when I thought I had that, I had to step in and be that teacher now.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had the skills in order to do that. But sometimes you got to do the job you don't want to do. So made an extra. I forget how much it was, but I made a good amount of extra money just literally going in for an hour a day for, I think, like 1 day a week for like the first semester.
Yeah.
And then good extra money, you know what I mean? And I got to do it, it was cool. But then, like I said, back at square one, I realized you had to depend on people. So I do plan on coming back to that as well. But it'll be more when I have more wills, I have more teachers, have more people other than myself, because I realized I make more money doing other things with smaller times. So I want all of my businesses to just be flowing by themselves. Like, put the money and the resources in place to make these things go, and just let my ideas spark that business opportunity. You know what I mean?
That makes sense, you know. And when it comes to, again, you're pushing yourself to learn new things and apply that, and that's huge. Like that's what the goal should be, you know, like to be able to take on new things, adapt, and then conquer it and do well. And when it comes to wholesaling, you do really well in wholesaling, especially compared to the market. Obviously, you have like the 100 millionaires a year and stuff like that out there. But it's afforded you a life to be able to travel and stuff like that. What are some of the countries you've gone to, and how have you been able to live working from anywhere from wholesaling?
Yeah, I went to Africa, closed the deal. Closed multiple deals in Africa, like not in Africa, but while I was there. Went to Spain, closed the deal while I was there. Went to Panama, closed the deal while I was there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so and even I was fortunate to like spend time. That's one thing too. Like I'm really fortunate to be able to spend time with like family, and just like even today. I mean, like we were working, but did it really feel like work?
No.
We were just riding around, went to a house, you know what I mean, talked to some agents, made some offers, and we're going to see what happens. But those right there can lead into $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 days, you know what I mean, just off of what we did today. And that's all I want out of my life, for real. Just have like easy freedom, you know what I mean, just allows me to be able to have time and still close deals. When my stepfather passed, I was able to live with my mom for a while back in Atlanta and still pay rent here, still pay for my car here, everything.
Blessing,
Exactly. I wasn't even using it for like 6 months straight, but I was able to pay for that stuff and close deals while I was down there. Hadn't been to any of the properties. Like I said, that was the high when I realized, wait, I don't got to be here.
Exactly. And it's, I wish more people could have an understanding of it, you know. And I think I have like 1 or 2 more. I had some good ones too. What goes through your mind when you think about like where you want Supreme Assets, where you want wholesaling to be for you? So like, what's a goal, like an operational goal? Like I want to be able to run like this efficiency, do this, that, and then what's like a monetary goal? Like if I can within a year hit this, that's a good healthy goal.
Gotcha. So I would say I want my goal to be, now I'm just paying everybody, bro. Everybody's getting paid. I've seen how the compensation works out in America, where you try to pay them off of the, how much you sell, commission based. But yeah, my goal would be to hire VAs and have all the stuff I do, like I showed you earlier today, pretty much be on them and be more automated. To where this can really just run itself. Because again, I'm not trying to be the one doing this. I don't want to sit here, do this for that long. That should be our goal as like entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of, especially like minority entrepreneurs, we get stuck in the business.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I see that so many times.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, if you like doing that, that's perfectly fine. But if you don't, if your goal is to get into business and then eventually have like an easy life, yeah, you want to start setting up those systems. So,
Yeah.
Supreme, I want to have some VAs, and they do all of the stuff and outreach that I do. Monetarily, honestly, that's kind of what I like about this, man. There's no limit. You know what I mean? Like right now, we're doing pretty good. I would say if we can make, I don't know, I don't want to put the finances too much out there, but if we can, we're in the triple digit. Well, we're in the 6 digits right now. So I mean, if we could get a little bit higher than 6 digits, and we can make it up to $1 million, let's get it. And honestly, you can make it more than that. Yeah. That's kind of the thing I like about it, because I'm going really easy right now. Yeah, there's people like my guy Nick Massini. If you watch this, there's a lot of people out there that just like kill, bro. Like go all day, texting, calling, all of that. I mean, I used to do that too, and like I can still do that, and that's the option that I like to do. Like if I choose to do it, but right now, like I said, I'm just focused on close a few deals here and play the stock market.
We have different seasons, you know. Exactly. Certain seasons, it's all right. I'm pushing it, and then certain seasons are building it to run for me. You know.
Yeah.
Like it's a good part of being able to be here. Like we're fortunate to be at this level, opposed to, and granted, as an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill, so it's our responsibility every day to make the money, or plant the seeds at least to make the money. But I guess lastly, what would you say being a father has given you or taught you, and that you bring into entrepreneurship?
Gotta make this money.
Hey, there
Time
you go.
is money. Everything. Opportunity costs. Oh, I take my opportunity costs way more serious, because, like I said, I get 3 days to myself, and I got to work in those 3 days as well. Yeah, work and be an adult in those 3 days. So it's like I really have no time for like BS, and I pay my rent myself. I'm doing this by myself. You know what I mean? I'm living this life by myself. So you got to make sure that you're on your responsibility game. You know, you got to really sell these houses. You know, make sure that you're straight. Always have your closings lined up for the next month. That's just being responsible, bro. That's my main thing I took into it.
You're doing a great job, man. Wise is already proud of you, but he's gonna be able to look back on his dad and be like, dang, like he did it. Like you're the superhero, man. Like people be having like best dad. And granted, I'm not saying somebody that doesn't have a business, but in the aspect in the world that we live in, to be able to take something from an idea and bring that into reality, bring it to the market, make sure it has value, and then create a system so that it continuously makes money. That is, for us, that's something, you know?
Yeah, because that consistent paycheck, we already know there is no consistent paycheck with entrepreneurship. You make sure that you're eating that, you know, you gotta find that thing. So
literally, but I appreciate you taking the time. It was a great day in life. This is my first interview, so I hope it was great, you know? Hey. Let everybody know how to contact you, where are you at, and for business, how do they get in contact with you if they have any?
If you want to sell a house, know anybody that wants to sell a house, give you $1,000 if you refer them to me and I close a deal. You can go to supremeassets.com or hit me up on Instagram, acquiring wise. It's my Instagram, so yeah, reach out.
All right, I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Same here.